I had a few bad days in the last weeks. I'm a little bit overwhelmed right now. And the burp is stuck in my throat. That annoys me a little bit right now. But I feel a little bit, I don't want to say stuck because I'm not stuck. It's a little bit overwhelmed. It feels a little bit burnout-y. I don't want to say burnout because I don't have a diagnosis for anything at all. I don't have a diagnosis on anything because I've never been to therapy. Doesn't matter. But, so no, I can, this annoys me so much because I've never got any diagnosis. But I know that I was depressed a few years ago. I just know it. I don't need someone to diagnose me with that because it's very obvious that it was depression, whether or not it was because of trauma or whatever. I was depressed at the ripe age of 13 because I was bullied so much. That was trigger warning. Suicide is going to be mentioned and everything that has to do with depression, but nothing very detailed. It's just mentioned. So, not suicide tendencies, whatever. Well, now I said so much suicide that, is TikTok, this isn't for TikTok, Tanya. Is YouTube going to block this? Do I have to censor this word? I don't know. But this was the first time I wanted to commit at 13 because I was bullied so much. And after that, I stayed in this cycle till 22, the day I moved out of my childhood home, because I had a very, 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 very toxic stepmother. They're not married, but it's the best way to describe this. And move forward to today, or the last few weeks, I'm a little bit overwhelmed. There's something I haven't told on my accounts right now. This is a big, big part of my life, but I'm not feeling comfortable to share right now. But it's pretty obvious if you watch my videos on TikTok what it is. But there are many responsibilities in my life, more than most people in my age have. And the thing about that is, I feel like if I share what it is, I'm not relatable anymore to people my age or my age range, because as soon as you mention what it is, it's pretty obvious what it is. But as soon as you mention it, you are placed in this group of people who have the same thing in their life going on, and you are not a 20-something girl, woman, whatever anymore. And I hate that. I don't like that, because I'm this, but I'm also a person who's 26, a woman who's 26 and tries to figure her life out. But what I really wanted to say is that right now I'm a little bit overwhelmed, and I feel, or some days, especially the day before yesterday, I felt like I was slipping into depression again. I know I am not. No, today I know I'm not. But I wanted to talk about how scared I am, or how people who suffered from depression in early ages, my complete youth, my whole life as a teenager was a life of constant depression and trauma that I experienced. This feels so performative right now. Like, I love Madeline RG. I think it's pronounced RG. I said Argy all the time, but I think it's RG. I've heard someone who said RG. And I love her kind of videos because she talks about herself. And I feel like I resonate more to people. I'm going to do a video on that topic as well, not Madeline herself, but this whole social media thing and how we turned into people who are talking about, or from a space of, I know what this means and I have all the tips to share and I figured this out. And I hate this type of social media because nobody at the age of 23 or 20 something has already figured something out, like how to achieve all your dreams. Are you kidding me? That's not the topic. That's a topic for another video. But I like her videos or her podcast because she is always talking from a space of herself. She's talking about herself and not in a way of, I'm so important, everybody has to know this, because she's so self-conscious about everything she talks about. And feels like a little bit of a, I don't want to assume too much, but a little bit of low self-esteem sometimes. Maybe not that, a little bit of that. I don't want to diagnose or assume everything about her. That's just my opinion. It doesn't have to be true. But a little bit of, she feels like her feelings and everything she talks about isn't as important, but she still is doing it because she feels the urge to do so. And I've had a TikTok account a few years ago, where I talked about my experiences. And this resonated with many, many people. And I started another account, or a few social media accounts on more than one platform, where I talked about, you have to do this, or these are the facts about that, and this is my analysis on. And this doesn't resonate with many people. And I think Madeline opened my eyes a little bit that I have to talk about myself. This is a big topic for me the last few weeks as well. But this is not the topic for this video, so I'm switching back to the depression part. So, because I was so depressed for a few years, many years, almost 10 years, what the fuck, I'm very, very scared that this might happen again. I have written down the chapters, what I want to talk about, because I want to have a little bit more of a structure in my videos. So I'm going to read now what I wanted to say. Why are bad days necessary without them having to be, or bad phase, without it having to be a sign of you're going to be depressed again, or having a depressive episode again? As I said, it wasn't diagnosed, but if you rot in your bed for almost 10 years, not going to school, dropping out of school, not doing anything at all, don't have any friends, and just sleep the whole day away, and just want to die every day from 13 to 22, what are the odds that this wasn't depression? So, if you don't have any bad days, you have no comparison to what how do you say this? If you don't have bad days, you don't know how good days are. And I think it's a little bit of, every time I have a bad phase or bad days, afterwards I have a good phase. It's like the weather. Some days the sun is shining. What? Some days the sun is shining, some days are raining. But you are always more excited for the sun if it rained for a few weeks. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes we just need this bad, I don't want to say bad all the time, because what does bad even mean? Sad, emotional, overwhelmed, times where you don't feel good. The opposite is bad. So these days just prove how good your good days are. And maybe bad days aren't bad days. Yeah, that's what I said. What? That's why I don't like to make videos with notes, because I don't feel like cutting my video for 3 hours. Yes, it's everything I already said, but all these emotions, like being stressed, overwhelmed, sad, emotional, something big is happening inside of you and you can't name it. All these things are normal for everyone. But I think because I suffered from depression so long and so early on, I'm so scared that this might happen again. I'm always so scared that I'm not filming. So my double chin all the time. Who cares? I think that's the part that people who haven't suffered from depression their whole life don't feel so scared or intimidated, is maybe the right word, about these bad phases, because if you've never experienced laying in a deep hole with no way out, or the feeling of there is no way out, you see the light but you can't get up. If you've never experienced that, a few days or weeks of feeling like shit and not doing anything at all, or you don't have the energy to do anything at all, doesn't feel as intimidating as if you have suffered from depression at least once in your life, or a depressive episode. Because if you, Jesus Christ, my tummy. Oh, I'm scared that my microphone isn't, what the fuck, who cares? And I think that's the worst part, because you know that other people at your age don't feel this way. So you don't have many people in your life who have overcome their depression, have a good, a normal, stable life, but are so afraid of slipping again. So you don't have really someone to talk about it, because people tend to say, I'm a very optimistic person. I believe in manifesting and law of attraction. Everything you think about will manifest in your life. I believe in all of that. And that's the tricky part. If you're a person like this, I would say a control freak, because my head is racing all the time, weighing the options, weighing everything that could happen, and that the whole day. And very catastrophic thinking that everybody might die. Not might, they will, but die because of me or in this moment. And I don't know why I said that. What did I want to say? The thought is gone. I don't know what I want to say. But what I want to say is, or what I wrote down, that I think the biggest part, or the hardest part after being depressed for so long, is that you have to accept the fact that you can't control anything. Maybe that's why I talked about being a control freak. This is the first episode in my life, phase, whatever, where I'm at peace. Nothing traumatic is happening right now. My life was very, very traumatic. Many things very early on happened that were traumatic. And this is the first year in my life, or was the first year in my life, where nothing happened. Thank the universe that everything was calm. I broke up with 2 friends. That was something, but it wasn't as hurtful for me because I ended the friendships, but that isn't the topic. What is the topic? Everything is the topic and nothing is the topic. I feel out of control, and I don't like the feeling of being out of control. That's why I rely on so many researches on topics like astrology. Back in April, I started to read a little bit into astrology, and it became a hyperfixation of mine, which lasts to this day, because it gives me a little bit of control why I am like the way I am. And many things feel a little bit more explained than they did before I looked into astrology. And that is a good thing, and I want to make a video on astrology. Maybe I will film another one after this one. Yeah. And what I want to say you, if you've watched this video and you relate to what I said, we should stop giving the depression that isn't active anymore this much power. Because no matter how long you were depressed, or had a depressive episode, depression already stole so much time from us. And that's the worst part for me, that I feel like this years, I were robbed of these years, and I've never had the chance to experience teenagehood and young adulthood in the way my peers did. And that's something that bothers me to this day. I'm 26, almost 27. And I hate that. And because I'm so scared that if I'm emotional and these bad days happen or bad phases where I'm just overwhelmed by everything, I'm going to be depressed again. But I don't want to give this power away anymore, because I am not depressed, I hope. High functioning depression. No, but we shouldn't give away this power to something that isn't active anymore. Yes, that's it. Love you. Bye bye.